Have you ever been in a room full of people, laughing and talking, but felt like you were watching a movie from the back row? While everyone else is reacting to the punchline of a joke, or a song on the radio, you're already 10 steps ahead. You're not just listening to the conversation. You're analyzing the subtext, the microshifts in facial muscles, and the historical context of why that person chose those specific words to hide what they're actually feeling. If people have called you too intense, too quiet, or told you to just stop thinking so much, I want you to listen closely. You aren't broken, you aren't extra, you're a deep thinker. This isn't just a personality quirk, it's a distinct psychological and neurological architecture. It's the observer's paradox. The more you understand the world, the more you feel separated from it. Today, we're going into the deep psychology of why your brain works this way, why it makes you feel like an alien in your own city, and how to carry the weight of a mind that never ever sleeps. Let's clear up the biggest misconception right away. People, usually well-meaning but confused friends, often tell deep thinkers to stop overthinking, but there is a massive fundamental difference between the two. Overthinking is a horizontal loop. It is driven by the amygdala, the brain's fear center. It's replaying an awkward hello until you're paralyzed by shame or worrying about a future that hasn't happened yet. Overthinking is a cage. It's a repetitive cycle that consumes energy without producing a result. It is the brain's emergency mode getting stuck. Deep thinking, however, is a vertical dive. It's not about worrying, it's about mapping. This is the realm of metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. When a deep thinker looks at a problem, whether it's a conflict in a relationship or a complex project at work, they don't just see the surface, they see the root systems, the soil quality, and the entire ecosystem. While the overthinker asks, "What if they hate me?" The deep thinker asks, what is the biological nature of human validation, and how does our tribal history dictate our modern social fears? One is a cycle of exhaustion. The other is a journey toward truth. One leaves you tired and scared. The other leaves you tired but enlightened. The deep thinker isn't stuck in a thought. They are exploring the architecture of that thought. Why is this cognitive depth so physically exhausting? The answer lies in a psychological concept called low-latent inhibition. In most people, the brain has a highly efficient gatekeeper. This gatekeeper filters out 90% of the world as irrelevant: the hum of the air conditioner, the texture of the carpet, the background chatter in a cafe. It ignores these things so the person can focus on the important task at hand. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism. But for you, the gate is stuck open. Your brain refuses to categorize these things as useless. You notice the slight tremor in a colleague's voice that suggests they're lying. You see the subtle architectural flaw in the ceiling. You feel the atmospheric shift in the room's tension the moment a specific person enters. This leads to hyper-systemizing the innate drive to analyze variables and find patterns in everything from social dynamics to music theory. Because your brain is processing significantly more data per second than the average person, you hit a state called analytical fatigue. It's why you might need 3 hours of silence after a simple lunch date. You didn't just have lunch, you decoded the restaurant. You analyzed the waiter's stress levels, the restaurant's lighting efficiency, and the subtle power dynamics at the table next to you. Closely linked to this is sensory processing sensitivity, a trait found in about 20% of the population, often referred to as highly sensitive people. To a deep thinker, the world is often experienced in high definition. While others see a nice park, you see a complex interplay of biology, light, and decay. But this sensitivity extends far beyond the 5 senses. It penetrates the emotional realm. You don't just hear a person's criticism. You feel the weight of their disappointment as if it were a physical object. You don't just see an injustice, you feel the systemic failure in your own nervous system. This is often why deep thinkers are misunderstood as fragile or antisocial. In reality, you are simply highly tuned. Imagine trying to listen to a whisper while someone is playing a drum set right next to your ear. That is what a noisy mall or a chaotic party feels like to a deep thinker. Your brain is trying to find the whisper of meaning amidst the drums of chaos. This sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a high-fidelity receiver that requires careful calibration. Then, there is the specific burden that comes with depth, the existential weight. Deep thinkers are rarely satisfied with just because. This leads to a constant underlying search for the grand why. While others are content to work a job, pay bills, and watch TV, you are plagued by questions of legacy, purpose, and the nature of consciousness. You might find yourself staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., not with anxiety, but with a heavy, quiet realization of the vastness of time and the fragility of human connection. This meaning-seeking behavior means you can't just switch off. You feel the injustices of the world more sharply because you see the systemic patterns that cause them. You see the threads of history repeating themselves in daily news. While others can distract themselves with trivialities, the deep thinker feels a moral and intellectual obligation to understand the gravity of existence. It's a heavy cloak to wear, and it often leads to what psychologists call existential depression. Not a sadness about life, but a sadness for the complexities and tragedies of the world that others seem to ignore. You carry the why of the world on your shoulders. For many deep thinkers, the mind isn't just a place where thoughts happen. It's a courtroom, a laboratory, and a theater. This is the phenomenon of the inner monologue. While some people think in abstract concepts or images, deep thinkers often have a constant verbal dialogue running in their heads. You might find yourself pre-simulating conversations. You don't just plan what to say. You simulate 20 different ways the other person could respond, and you prepare counter-arguments for each. You analyze your own past actions with the scrutiny of a lead prosecutor. This internal dialogue is both your greatest tool and your most persistent critic. It allows you to solve complex problems through internal debate, but it also means you are never truly silent. Learning to quiet this inner counsel is often the hardest task a deep thinker will ever face. It's not that you can't stop thinking. It's that you have so many internal consultants who all want to be heard at once. Because of this constant data intake and internal dialogue, solitude for a deep thinker isn't just a preference, it's a biological requirement. Most people recharge by seeking more stimulation. Parties, crowds, noise. They use external noise to drown out their internal void. But for the deep thinker, the internal world is already loud. External noise is just more work. When you are alone, your brain finally has the chance to move data from the processing folder to the understanding folder. This is where your best insights happen. It's called consolidation. If you don't get this time, you become irritable, foggy, and eventually you burn out.